I sit by the window of this crumbling house, the evening light leaking through broken shutters, and the silence pressing down on me like a heavy blanket. My hands tremble when I hold my teacup, my bones ache with every small movement, and my breath comes in shallow sighs. I am old now, forgotten by most, remembered by few, and cherished by none. I wonder often if my life had meaning, or if it was simply a long chain of sorrows tied together by the thin string of survival. When people look at me, they see only an old woman, wrinkled skin, tired eyes, and a back bent from years of labor and grief. But inside, I am still the girl I once was, the woman I struggled to become, and the mother I failed to remain. My story is not a joyful one. It is stitched with betrayal, soaked with tears, and shadowed by regrets too heavy for these frail shoulders. Yet perhaps if I tell it, someone will listen, and my pain will not vanish unnoticed into the silence of this room. I was born in a small village, where poverty clung to every home like dust in summer. My father was a laborer, his hands rough and cracked, his voice worn thin from shouting at the fields. My mother stitched clothes for the neighbors, but she too carried exhaustion in her bones. I was their eldest daughter, expected to care for my younger siblings, fetch water from the well, and cook what little food we had. Childhood was a word I never understood. And yet, even in the midst of hunger and struggle, I dreamed. I dreamed of a life beyond the muddy roads of our village. I dreamed of love, not the harsh, impatient kind my parents showed each other, but a gentler love, like the stories whispered by other girls under the stars. I used to look at the horizon, wondering if happiness lived beyond it, waiting for me. When I was 16, I thought I had found that happiness. His name was Arif. He was not rich, not powerful, but he had a smile that melted the hardness of the world. He was a carpenter, younger than most men who came to court the girls of the village, and he spoke to me with respect, something rare for a girl like me. We would meet secretly by the old neem tree, speaking in hushed voices, afraid the world would discover us. He promised me he would marry me, that he would build us a little home with his own hands, where laughter would echo instead of shouting. But dreams are fragile things. My parents did not care for Arif's promises. They wanted security, a match that brought money, land, or at least social standing. Arif had none of those things. One evening, my father returned home with a decision carved in his voice. I was to marry another man, Rashid, the son of a landowner from a neighboring village. He was older, richer, and cruel in the way his eyes scanned me like property. I cried, I begged, I even confessed to my mother about Arif, but her face hardened. Love does not feed you, she said. Love does not fill empty stomachs. The night before my wedding, I ran to the neem tree, hoping Arif would take me away, far from the chains of duty. He was there, waiting, his hands trembling as he reached for mine. But when I told him of my father's decision, I saw defeat fill his eyes. I am too poor, he whispered. I cannot fight them. He kissed my forehead and walked away, leaving me alone with a heart that broke silently, without a sound. Marriage was not what I had dreamed. Rashid was a man who knew nothing of kindness. He saw me as a servant, a vessel for children, and a means to secure his pride. I bore him 3 children, each birth leaving me weaker than before. I loved my children deeply, but even that love carried sorrow, for Rashid's harshness often fell upon them too. I worked endlessly. Cooking, cleaning, washing, and tending to the fields when laborers were scarce. Nights were worse. Rashid would drink, his temper flaring, his words cutting deeper than his fists ever could. I stayed silent, swallowing my pain, because in my world, a wife's duty was to endure. Years passed. My children grew, but so did the distance between us. Rashid filled their ears with poison, teaching them that I was weak, that I was to blame for every misfortune. When my eldest son married, his wife despised me. She saw me as an obstacle, a shadow in her new home. Slowly, my children drifted from me, their voices colder, their visits shorter. The house that once echoed with their cries became a prison of silence. As I grew older, my body began to betray me. The strength I once had to bear the burdens of life faded. My hands shook, my knees ached, and my sight dimmed. I thought perhaps my children would care for me in these final years, but I was wrong. Rashid had died long ago, leaving debts that swallowed what little land we had. My sons accused me of mismanaging, though it was their father's greed that ruined us. One by one, they left, building lives where I had no place. Now, I sit here alone in this crumbling house. The walls remember more laughter than I do. The air smells of dust and forgotten days. Neighbors pass by, sometimes offering a polite nod, but mostly they ignore me, as if I am already half buried in the grave. I often think of Arif. I do not know where life took him, whether he married, whether he built the little home he once promised. Sometimes I wonder if he still thinks of me, or if I was just a fleeting dream from his youth. But in the quiet of the night, when the loneliness is too heavy, I pretend he is beside me, whispering the words I longed to hear for decades. Regret is a cruel companion. I regret not fighting harder for love. I regret letting fear silence me. I regret the years I spent serving a man who never cherished me, the years wasted trying to win the affection of children who never looked back. Now, all I have are memories, some tender, many bitter. I tell my story not to seek pity, but because silence is heavier than grief. Perhaps if someone listens, truly listens, they will learn that a woman's heart is not made of stone, that endurance is not the same as happiness, and that love, once lost, leaves a wound that never heals. I am the sum of my sorrows, the echo of choices not made, the shadow of dreams unfulfilled. And when I leave this world, I wonder if anyone will even notice.